Every year we observe a number of cyber attacks, and companies are doing their best to limit their impact. We live in a world when there's a lot of new technologies like cloud, like IoT, connected devices, and microsegmentation seems to be a good strategy to follow if companies want to make sure that their organizations are safe. But still, I think that not a lot of them know how to engage this kind of technology. Today I have a pleasure of talking with James Weinbrenner. Hello, James.
Hello, Anna.
The CEO of Elisity. The company was founded in 2018. A huge part of your team has been working within the security industry for 25 years right now. And I believe that you are the one who will say a lot about how microsegmentation can help companies.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to be here, so thank you very much for hosting. We believe that segmentation has been well understood as an effective control to limit the propagation of threat actors or malicious traffic east-west in different environments, but it's been very challenging to implement with legacy technologies. It's required a lot of disruption to the underlying network architecture, and so while everybody understood the value of providing that segmentation to limit east-west access or east-west propagation, it was difficult to implement and difficult to manage at scale. So what we've been working on is trying to bring the capability of a much more granular segmentation and least privilege access into environments without really disrupting the underlying network infrastructure, making it easier to manage both the security policy around that segmentation and the underlying network from an availability and performance standpoint.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned huge legacy systems. So who are mainly your clients? Small companies, or do you work also with the big enterprises? How can they implement the technology that we're talking about?
Great question. And I think this segmentation as a control is valuable for many different clients. But where we are specifically focused, and we've been very lucky to have some great co-development customers early in our journey that are dealing with quite a bit of tech debt in their environments, and mainly folks that are in the manufacturing space, specifically pharmaceutical and life sciences manufacturing, where the risks associated with not having proper security controls in a manufacturing environment are quite high. And we're manufacturing, medications and vaccines that are being put into people's bodies. And there was traditionally no segmentation in these environments. They were run as standalone, but as those environments were connected onto the IT network, and now many of the risks that are prevalent in the IT network are now prevalent in the manufacturing facility, the importance of being able to accomplish this type of control in those environments is a high priority. So we started out in working in that pharmaceutical manufacturing space. There was a lot of awareness around the problem, given some challenges that a number of high-profile pharma companies had with ransomware and with some different types of attacks. But we've been able to bring that capability now into more broad manufacturing in automotive, as well as in the oil and gas sector, and as well coming out of manufacturing and into clinical healthcare environments where similarly we have a lot of clinical device infrastructure, things like MRI machines and infusion pumps, patient monitoring systems that are running alongside more traditional managed IT assets, physicians' computers, nurses' computers, and things like that.
Thank you for saying more about how you help the companies. And I believe that your solution can help companies cut and optimize the costs, actually. Because if I understand correctly, it's possible for you to make sure that old machines that are perfectly working but still have old software are not gates for any cyber attacks because they are put in different segments. So how does it work? Can you share some more, maybe not a lot of details, not going really into details, but can you share some real life cases when you as a company helped your clients?
Absolutely, and I think the important thing to understand is just the incredible difference between lifecycle management in traditional information technology IT systems and what we as consumers even now are used to, with phones being refreshed, almost every year, and software updates coming out, daily or weekly or monthly, and the ability to patch those systems over the air, and have essentially continuously updated infrastructure. And the controls that have been developed for dealing with antivirus and for malware and other types of things from an endpoint detection and response standpoint, for those systems, it's very easy to install that software control and manage that. When we think about lifecycle management, though, in an operational technology setting, we're dealing with systems that in some cases are 10, 15, 20 years old, that are running software versions that are a decade old or older. And in many cases, those systems can't be patched. We can't install traditional IT controls, typical EDR and other types of controls on those systems. So therefore, we have to be able to provide a mechanism to secure those without requiring really disruption of the system itself. So that's one of the things that Elisity was focused on really from day one, was making sure that we could provide sufficient least privilege access and microsegmentation control directly at the edge, but without having to actually install anything on that legacy system. And we see this time and time again where I was just in earlier this summer at a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in Parma, Italy. They had a production line that had been mothballed, kind of shut down for a number of years, and through the pandemic, as they needed to be able to ramp production of drugs in that facility, so that they could use other facilities for vaccine production, they were literally kind of turning that system back online after many years. And they needed to be able to run that system without having to go and install software patches or do anything from a traditional IT standpoint. And being able to provide the control at the interface point for that production line back into the IT network allowed us to secure that infrastructure and allowed them to bring that system back online much faster.
It's a great case because it shows the cost and time optimization when it comes to companies like this. And you mentioned pharma, but probably it's not the only industry. Actually, all the industries, they should care about security. So your product is kind of help to all of them.
Yeah, I think most of these manufacturing customers, availability is the biggest concern, especially as you think about some of the lower margin businesses. We work with a manufacturing company that produces flooring, carpet and tile, and the risk to them of losing production capability for even a week or a couple of weeks due to a ransomware attack or some other type of attack is massive, because this is a relatively low margin business. And they can't afford to take downtime, unscheduled downtime in those types of facilities. And this is applicable in lots of places where there's operational technology. And so on the one hand, these customers are looking to be able to benefit from all of the advantages of what we can do with data analysis and machine learning around optimizing yield efficiency and driving better production capability that is enabled by digital transformation. But by the very nature of connecting those systems together, being able to connect the systems that were traditionally completely offline, now trying to connect them onto the IT network and onward to the cloud, the threats are now they're now exposed to threats in a way that they weren't before. So being able to provide that degree of security, that level of control, allowing for that connectivity to take advantage of that digital transformation, but without having to require a complete lift and shift or rebuild of the system is very, very important for our customers.
It's a really very tangible value that you provide to your clients. And you have a digital product, a platform, and I believe that is what we joined forces with you. Why did you decide to work with a tech partner? Were there any challenges or competences that you were looking for?
So for us, everything in terms of what we're delivering to our customer is about time to value. And we've built a very modern platform. It is cloud native in terms of the way we run our identity graph and our policy engine. And then we connect that cloud native capability back into our customers' environments to bring that security control directly to their edge. So we are very focused on being able to get customers up and running on the Elisity platform very quickly and demonstrate value very, very quickly. And similarly for us, as we go through different stages of the software development process, we're working in a number of different areas to drive innovation. And as we were looking at the need to scale parts of our engineering team to work on some of those capabilities, we had a strong sense of what the architecture was going to look like. We had a strong sense of the work effort that was required, but we knew that we needed to be able to, in some cases, scale very quickly in a particular area to get through a work effort. And so being able to partner with Future Processing allowed us to, without having to run kind of the traditional recruiting and onboarding and other efforts, very, very quickly go tackle some specific work efforts for areas of the platform that were important for us from a scale perspective specifically.
So it's the same. You believe that you bring value to your clients and you have to be fast and cut down the costs. And we are happy to be your partner to help you develop as Elisity.
Yes.
And when it comes to the future, when we think about the trends, the IoT still being developed, what is the future of Elisity? What are your plans and next steps right now?
So our goal is really to be able to provide identity-based microsegmentation and least privilege access for every system that's connected to our customers' networks. And again, we're working primarily today with customers in the manufacturing and clinical healthcare spaces. As enterprises are now bringing users back into carpeted space offices, we are very excited to be looking at different use cases to better enable security in those enterprise carpeted spaces as well. And so, we are very, very focused on being able to provide complete coverage from a security policy perspective for all of the systems that are connected to our customers' networks. And in order to do that, we need to, again, continue to make it easier and easier and easier to determine what those policies need to look like and make sure that those policies can adapt as our customers' needs evolve. And so we're very focused on driving innovation from an AI standpoint in terms of the recommendations that we're making in policy to make it very, very simple for operators to adopt more and more and more granular policies for specific areas of the network, for specific manufacturing environments or clinical environments, and without having to go and do a tremendous amount of heavy lifting and research, be able to leverage kind of the crowdsourced power of what we're seeing across the entirety of our customer base to make smarter policy recommendations for individual customers. So that's where we're investing a lot in terms of the innovation that we're driving.
When it comes to the numbers, because we said that the company was founded in 2018, and I believe that the company's awareness of how important security is growing. So can you see the number of clients or the investments that they're putting into security area growing? And do you think it will be the trend that can continue in the years?
Absolutely. In fact, I think coming out of the pandemic, again, we were focused on customers that were still running physical infrastructure while the rest of the world was shut down. We didn't stop producing vaccines. We didn't stop refining gas, those types of things during the pandemic. And certainly the hospitals and clinics that were running around the world weren't able to suspend operations during that time. But as we start to really look at what is sort of the future of work, what is hybrid going to look like, how will people manage a combination of work from home with things like zero trust network access, and then bringing those knowledge workers back into carpeted space office for some periods of time, we see acceleration in the deployment of this type of identity-based microsegmentation and least privilege access solution. And so I think there is a strong recognition by certainly the analyst community and some of the thought leaders in our different customer spaces around the importance of this type of control. And as we're starting to see actually recognition now for some of our customers that have made significant investments in this type of segmentation capability, their ability to move faster as an organization, their peers are starting to recognize that, and we're seeing that drive additional adoption as well. So we're actually very excited for growth in 2024. We think that we're going to more than double in terms of not just the revenue of the business, but from a customer count perspective as well. And we see again, I think, validation of this approach as being a way to move much faster on having a much more granular level of control, but delivered in a policy construct that will scale much further with an organization because it's abstracted from sort of the traditional underlying rigid network architectures of the past.
You mentioned the growth in 2024. I think it's a great challenge to make sure that you are up to date, to make sure that you provide the highest value to your clients, especially when it comes to security. There are still new things happening. You have to be up to date to make sure that your clients are safe. So what do you do? How do you make sure that Elisity as a company can provide the highest value, and how are you different from maybe other companies within the industry?
So we're very lucky to have strong advisory relationships with thought leaders that are at the forefront of their respective industries. So as I think about the work that we've done to really build this scalable platform around identity-based microsegmentation, that's only as valuable as the policies that we can affect. And so the work that we're driving around the efficacy of those policies is coming as a direct result from the input we're getting from the thought leaders that we're partnered with in these respective industries. So some of the kind of most forward-leaning CISOs in life sciences manufacturing, some very forward-leaning cybersecurity architects in process control around oil and gas, some very kind of battle-worn security architects in clinical healthcare that have been dealing with the evolution of these networks over time. And so we're going to continue, as we look at additional segments and additional verticals that we can support, we're going to continue to look to partner with advisors that can help us be much faster to providing that policy value around that identity-based microsegmentation. And I think the proof is in how quickly the customers that have adopted Elisity have been able to make progress, and that's now driving a network effect. So we're having folks hear about how quick their peers are able to implement, and that's getting them excited about getting engaged and driving additional contribution. Again, from a thought leadership perspective, which has been great.
Okay, so if the company wants to implement microsegmentation, I believe they just should contact Elisity and ask for the next steps and how to engage your systems.
Absolutely. Come to www.elisity.com and there's an opportunity to learn not just from us directly, but from a number of our customers who have been gracious enough to provide more detail on the specific use cases they've adopted, how it's been helpful in their environments, and we have those customer case studies in pharmaceutical manufacturing, in broader manufacturing, in clinical healthcare, and other use cases as well.
Okay, so thank you, James, for the conversation, and it was great to meet you today in the headquarters. I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you very much.